to reduce the capacity of the overall weight by suspending the densest part of it in the field between the lightest part of the atoms. Because the Higgs boson, the God particle, is the particle responsible for mass. That's why it was a big deal when it was rediscovered.
Mm-hmm.
It's called the God particle, and it's the basic building block of matter.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But it's to give each one of the atoms a different density.
Mm-hmm.
Density is what gives you this fixed position illusion in 3D. Otherwise, you would just walk through a wall.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But when you got density and the vibration of the two things can't cancel each other out, you can't walk through the wall.
Mm-hmm.
But when you don't have density involved, then you meet with another object and you'll cancel each other out because of frequency. Right? It's like shooting two high-pitched sounds at each other and they neutralize each other out. They drown each other out.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So that's how information also go through that same process.
Mm-hmm.
Over time, it gets spread out to the point where it's hard to pinpoint the point of origin.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but that's what they was doing over there. They was making movie sets. You know, and a lot of the historical narrative they gave us is based on movie scripts. That's based on translations of ancient writings.
Right.
And they don't know if none of that stuff is true. They could have been fairy tales for them people back then too.
Right.
Right? We don't know. But we know that the science in there is accurate. Right? Because it's still as amazing as scientists of today. It's the same with the hieroglyphs. The writings on the wall. It's called metal netter, the writings of the gods. But if also you got anatomy in the same writing that you got trigonometry and geometry in the form of an artistic work called a painting.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So when you're looking at best, we're talking the amygdala.
Mm-hmm.
When we're looking at horrors, we're talking about the base of the spine, the pons region.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so forth and so on. They all got a different part of the body they represent as the parts in the construction of the grand man.
Mm-hmm. Hey, so this next question, I on the last tape I heard you say something about King Tut's tomb. I also heard Hakeem Bey say something about it, and I found two interesting clips that go along with what you were saying about King Tut's tomb. I'm gonna play those clips, and then maybe you could give. Now we know that's the Watutsis. And they was over here already, and he said, he asked them how they get here from Africa, and we've been saying that these people that come from Africa, they was already over here, and they saying that this go back almost 30,000 years. Because I got more clips that go along, and this lady gonna go talk about the King Tut part. So why they covering this up? How's they covering this up about these people who they say as Africans was already over here?
Look, they're not covering it up.
Go ahead.
The story they discovering it in real time. America has not been under the archaeological, anthropological scrutiny that the rest of the world been through. So they have to tie everything into the out of Africa theory because that's their point of origin. They started with the idea and the concept that everybody started in Africa. Therefore, that means that if it was somebody over here, they had to come from Africa. Because when you get back past 8,400 years, everybody melanated with nappy hair.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So now the justification is everybody melanated with nappy hair is African. Mm-hmm. But they all came from the land that they own originally. Mm-hmm. Right? They want to give you the idea that a man and one woman, made all the people on the earth. That's ridiculous. Mm-hmm. Right? It was tribes all over the earth. They all emerged together.
Mm-hmm.
right? But we have to follow the Darwinian um, knuckle walking philosophy of turning from a gorilla into a human or a
Mm-hmm.
chimpanzee into a human.
Mm-hmm.
That's ridiculous,
Mm-hmm.
right? But because we don't have the memory of what we are, who we are, then we gonna go with the most popular narrative because that's what the most people say is the narrative to follow. It don't make it true.
Mm-hmm.
All of the discoveries over here, most of them are under 150 years old because it was too much war going on to survey and dig up archaeological digs in the middle of the colonization process because we was fighting like a mofo
Right.
all over the land. The only thing that stopped us is a truce, a ceasefire based on the Conjure War.
Mm-hmm.
Educate yourself about the condition in the 200 years. We'll see who can settle it then.
Right.
Wasn't no high chiefs when they came over here.
Right.
Everybody was a chief in training. All them great chiefs you read about in the history books that was fighting the colonizers,
Right.
they was trainee chiefs. No high chiefs, but all of the real high chiefs was letting the other chiefs run the land. They got to get the practice. So because all of the high chiefs was between lives, probably, right? They check out and then we get attacked. And the ones that's in the positions, they got to do the best they can with what they know, but they're not the best strategists we have. They're not the best warriors that we have, right? So when we call them for strategists, we need somebody that can unravel everything, tell us what the strategy is and what the remedy is, and based on what's going on, the system is going to eventually fall to the demands of the original people. They have to because it's law.
Mm-hmm.
It's galactic law that overrides universal law. This is the close of the age, and at the close of the age, we had to close all of the conjures. That's how they knew when John D told Queen Elizabeth about putting us into this hypnotic trance using the first blood of the righteous, Crispus Attucks, first blood of the Revolutionary War, to put some people in the land in the slumber, then miseducate them.
Right.
Here come the Rockefeller Templar movement to disorient our mind from what part of the land we from by giving us this direction called Africa.
Right.
But we didn't call it Africa, and we've been dealing with them people and marrying them people for thousands of years before Europe was even fully developed. Now all of a sudden, there's no connection, and they brought us all over here from over there. But they don't got it in their oral histories about no mass exodus of people from Africa. So we know that's not true. Right? And they tell you in the with those slave things that they got put up on the coast for you to go visit where your ancestors left from.
The Ivory Coast.
They tell you when you go on tour over there, if you ask them, wasn't no pale faces in no motherfucking trade back then.
Right.
There was all nappy hair, woolly hair Arabs.
Right.
That looked like any other Negro. And they was calling themselves Jews later. At the time, they was mariners, merchants of the high seas. This is how they developed the Uniform Commercial Code to enforce the jurisdiction of admiralty, and the only thing they had was to try to figure out how to apply the admiralty salvage rights to the land.
Yeah.
And they've been pillaging us ever since under the squatter right, under the salvage rights, right? And they've been using eminent domain in order to continue the search for more of the civilis mortis, the black folks, labeled dead, lost at sea.
Yeah.
Right? The reverse side of the coin is they talking about the stealth priests, the ones who we know is going to emerge on the land. But if we got to stop them, if we don't want them to reclaim their birthright, because all they have to do is put it in the public domain. And when enough people get a hold of understanding of what's taking place, then the changing of the guard takes place. And we there now.
They burned these. Anana mentioned something about her daughters being burned at the stake when they first came, and it's about around 150 years when they said that these people could come back.
You remember she talking about when she said her daughters got burned when they first came? That was the gender war when it first started.
Mm-hmm.
The daughters of Isis, the daughters of Inanna. It depended on where the sacerdotal seat was, depending on which one of them, or the daughters of Kali if it was the sacerdotal seat in India.
Yeah.
Right? If the sacerdotal seat was in Kemet, it's the daughters of Isis.
Right.
If it's in Babylon, it's the daughters of Inanna or Ishtar, depending on the era. Right? Because it moved from one side of the Babylonian Empire to the other. So what we call Sin is a son of Enlil, men are Sin.
Mm-hmm.
And he's the military strategist who wrote this 120 degrees of trigonometry, Yakub story. How to usurp and undermine the people and how to confuse them using magic, politics, science as tools of war. Then they incorporated religion and entertainment into it, because if they can get the politics, of course, religion is only one step away from politics.
Right.
If you go back a couple 50, 60 years, the preachers had just as much power as an attorney. They used to be able to go in and get people out of jail for free because they was clergy. Now the clergy ain't got no juice. They got all the money, ain't got none of the power. The only time that happens is when people sell out. All of the money and none of the power. They got mega churches full of people with all of the money and none of the power.
Right. And they teach prosperity. That's what their whole it was. They gave them, it's like a list they can preach about. So a dude came out and made a comment about that, about the loans, that they only give certain people loans and to be part of that organization. Hey, but back before I go sideways, let me ask you one more question about the video we just watched. He also mentioned there that this was the son, that they found pharaohs buried there. This 3,000
Sun Kings.
Yeah. So pharaohs. Go ahead.
So when they call them Sun Kings, they are. Remember what me saying before? Everybody, when they call somebody Sonny boy, son, they try to do he was born to be a chief.
Right.
It's the same. It's the same underlying principle. Right. In Greek, it would be Helios.
Right.
Right. Which also means fire.
Right.
You get your idea of the doctrines of hell. Are those doctrines that overcomes the conjures of the Babylonian powers. So when we're talking about this power of the sun, we're talking about learning to adapt to the solar rays and use that solar energy for spiritual awakening. And then there's a way that the sun will tell you it's time to wake up. And we in that time now, and this is why they're waiting on the great solar flash. Because it's going to give out a super flash that's going to make the earth orgasm. And everything that don't belong on here when she scream, out of here.
Mm-hmm. All right, this next one, it goes more dealing around the King Tut thing, but that guy just was before. So he already verified that, hey, man, we've been finding stuff, but they go back 30. We don't even know how. We just say 30. It might be older. And it's Phoenicians and people already over here. So That's what he
But
calling them, but that might
well,
not what they call themselves.
yeah, the Phoenicians were seafaring Canaanites,
Go ahead.
and they were some of the earliest versions that became later known as Blackamoors and Blackamoor Jews.
Man, they people was already over here. And it's funny. It's funny how you just said that the sun. Then you tied it in with fire, and then that ties in with the city of Aura, fire, Felicians, and somebody say he could. We have suspect that he could have had some kind of extraterrestrial mix, like a cone heads, because they were saying that he was a morphodite, and then but this is the thing. Based on what the old boy said, 30,000 the Felicians over here. They finding King Tut's tomb over here. That all lines up with all. I got more evidence that we're gonna play, but could you go in on that? They finding King Tut's tomb in Kentucky, and it lines up with old boy. What old boy saying about finding the tombs, all the
Yeah.
valleys and the valleys. Go ahead.
So you got to remember, it was a while after the announced discovery of King Tut tomb that they take the King Tut exhibition on tour. Right? They did a parody about King Tut's tomb on Abbott and Costello of them discovering it. Then at the beginning of the show, they come into the office. They in Hollywood, right? And then in the next scene, they going into the pyramids, right? So the connection is the story of the discovery of Mammoth Cave. When you go do your research on Mammoth Cave, you'll find that it had a burial site of multiple graves. That's what the girl was telling you. The Valley of the Kings in Mammoth Cave. Right? That's the underground tunnels that they represented. It's just to do the layover. You can get the diagram of Mammoth Cave, and then you can get the picture of the Valley of the Kings tomb sites, and then you can do an overlay.
Yeah, that's what she did. That's what she did. And if it stands the reason, if King Tut's over here, then all the rest of them that probably was before him, going back 30,000 years to old boy Cave, son of the Galilee Cave, they all was over here. And we're gonna get to some of this. Let's go into one of these next clips on why some of this could be happening, why this could be covering up like this.
One thing he said, he said that the Creeks is the Greeks. All that's overlay. All that biblical shit. That's overlay. Yeah. All of these cities in the country named after biblical cities was after the fact names. There wasn't the names before colonization. All you got to do is look up when they was chartered, because that's when they was named.
Right.
They had to be named in the charter. The fact that they need a charter, meaning that they need somebody to okay them to name and claim that territory. That's part of the salvage rights. Right? So we operate in government, they step on our government, and then they put their government in place of ours. That's what they need charters for. We didn't need charters for our villages. Most of them was on a family farm anyway. And then we lived off the produce of the farm. We didn't have no grocery stores. We didn't need them. We need some eggs, you go out to the chicken coop. You know, you got them big old uncles out in the barn slaughtering cows. Back then it was bison before they came, but when they switched to the stock out.
Hey, y'all hit that like. Hit that subscribe button. Huh?
Yeah, so once they switched to the livestock we use from.
It got you real low, what? Yeah, we echo.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's back normal now.
Yeah, somebody was trying to call in, but Let me forget where I was at. Oh, when they switched out the livestock, we adapted. We adapted to everything they threw at us.
Right.
Right. And now it's time for the big payback.
But he said that the part he said about the gopher wood. I got a whole tape on it, and I got a couple clips from that tape that I'm gonna play in just a minute. That's only found in Florida. So if Noah, if we know some of this stuff could be allegory, and some of this stuff they found in the gimmicks, the gimmick epic Leash, we saw a similar storyline. But what we saying is, if he used gopher wood is found in Florida. So how do they get around that, bro? How do they get around that part? The
They
Bible.
lie. They flat out lie.
Okay, go ahead.
That's only look when the truth comes. The only way you combat the truth is to tell a lie that is convincing enough for people to believe over the truth. It's the only thing they can do. That's why they keep telling me we are from Africa. We are not from no damn Africa.
Right.
And the people think when we say that it's a knock on Africans. It's not a knock on Africans.
Go ahead.
Right? It's a knock on colonizers trying to disassociate us from the land by telling us we're from somewhere else so that they can hold the rights to the land because we don't know who we is and we at home. So if we at home and we don't know who we is, they don't got to give us nothing.
Right.
But once they understand that we know who he is, we know who runs whose territory this is, by birthright, all we do is put it in the public domain. It's the land of Tahuti for a reason.
Right.
Right? So even when you go back, everything